All right, so are you ready for this?
Oh, absolutely. This one's going to be fun.
We're diving deep into the AMLCA Elite Junior Championship Final.
Okay.
And this match had everything, let me tell you. Pressure, unbelievable performances,
Yeah.
and a finish you won't believe.
Wow.
We're talking Austin Blasters versus the NACA Falcons, September 2nd, 2024. Mark it in your calendars, folks, because that was a day for the history books. So we're going to break down exactly how the Blasters managed to snag this victory. Was it just a phenomenal team effort, or did some individual players kind of, steal the show a little bit?
Well, right off the bat, you got to look at the Blasters' score, right? 165 runs, only lost 5 wickets.
Right.
That says a lot about how they set up their innings.
Yeah. 1655, that's a pretty strong message to send to the Falcons.
And speaking of strong messages, Vera Bathla, wow, talk about bringing the heat. He ended up with 61 runs.
Yeah, I mean, think about that for a second. That's like, what, almost 40% of the team's total runs?
Right.
That's huge in any game, let alone a final.
Absolutely.
But you're right, it wasn't just him. Fritai Borapati, he wasn't too far behind. 59 runs, that's fantastic. Honestly, in a limited overs match, you get those two batting together, that's a partnership that can really, it can demoralize the other team.
Oh, yeah. Sets the tone for the whole game.
Exactly.
And on top of that, the Blasters were awarded 32 extras. I mean, that's a lot of extras.
It is.
They're almost 20% of their total score. Yeah, and it makes you wonder about the Falcons bowling. Were they cracking under the pressure, or was it a strategic move by the Blasters to, capitalize on any little error?
Yeah.
It's something to keep in mind as we look at how the Falcons did when they were up to bat.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so the Falcons are up to bat. They need 166 runs to take home that trophy. So how did they handle that challenge?
Well, it wasn't their day, unfortunately. They ended up at 145 runs. And the real kicker is they lost all 10 wickets.
Wow.
145-10. That's rough in any final, especially when you're bowled out like that.
Yeah, 145-10, that definitely tells us the Blasters bowlers were on fire that day.
Oh, for sure.
They were relentless, just putting that pressure on the Falcons, forcing those tricky situations. But, even in a tough loss, the Falcons had some players who really stepped up. Adav Versappa, he put up a good fight, 20 runs for him, and Pradham Pradeep contributed with 15.
Yeah, they had some fight in them, that's for sure.
Oh, they did not give up easily. Which, actually, this next bit I found really interesting. So, the Falcons finished with even more extras than the Blasters' 36 runs.
Interesting. Now, that could be a couple of things, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the pressure got to the Blasters later in the game. Maybe some of those bowlers, got a little loose.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Falcons picked up on something and decided to exploit it, force some errors, especially wides, and try to claw their way back into the match.
Interesting. So it could be a little bit of both, you think?
It very well could be.
Okay. But let's get into some of those key moments, those game-changing plays that really, flip the script,
So let's talk about those early wickets the Falcons lost.
Yeah.
Right? Shreyansh Vadupalli, he's out for duck on the very first ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ajay Vakil follows soon after, only 5 runs.
2 quick wickets back-to-back right at the start, that's got to rattle you.
Oh, it's huge. You're immediately on the back foot playing catch-up, and it puts so much pressure on those next batsmen coming in because they know there's zero margin for error.
And then, on top of all of that, you've got Vera Bathla, who not only does he get those 61 runs, but he also takes 3 wickets.
Oh, talk about a game changer, man.
Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
His all-around performance was absolutely vital to the Blasters winning that game. I mean, he helped build that strong foundation with the bat, but then he goes and breaks these crucial partnerships with the ball. It's incredible. Players who can do both, especially under pressure like that in a final, they're worth their weight in gold.
Absolutely. And we got to give a shout out to Taijasi Tessie Singh, right? She comes in, bowls for just 2 overs, but still manages to take a wicket.
See, that just shows you the importance of accuracy and keeping your cool in those moments. 2 overs might not sound like a lot, but trust me, in a tight game like that, economical bowling can make or break you.
It's all about making those deliveries count.
Exactly.
And it sounds like she did just that.
For sure.
Now, you mentioned economical bowling. Can you, unpack that a little bit more for us? What makes it so important, especially in a match like this final?
Yeah, absolutely. So in cricket, it's not just about those big flashy wickets, right?
Right.
It's also about keeping the runs down, preventing those easy singles and boundaries, making the batsman really work for it.
Oh, okay, I see.
Especially in a high-pressure final like this one, every single run is massive.
Oh, yeah.
So a bowler who can keep things tight, build that pressure, that can be just as valuable as someone who's taking wickets left and right. It really gets into the batsman's head.
It becomes this whole psychological game then, too.
Exactly.
Not just about the physical skill.
It's like a chess match out there. And, you know, in this match, Tessie Singh, her economical bowling, did exactly that. It put the pressure right back on the Falcons.
She shifted that momentum.
100%.
Yeah.
Limited the runs, and then, boom, takes that crucial wicket.
Wow. You know, it's amazing how such a short bowling spell can have a ripple effect on the whole game.
For sure.
And speaking of ripple effects, let's circle back to Virat Bafla for a second.
Okay.
I mean, we talked about those 61 runs, which is incredible in itself, but then he turns around and takes 3 wickets.
It's unreal. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about when I say individual brilliance can shine through.
Yeah.
It's not just talent, it's the temperament, you know.
Right.
Being able to perform when the pressure's on in a final, and not just in one aspect of the game, but both batting and bowling.
He's a double threat.
Exactly, and that's what sets him apart.
Bafla really understood the assignment, didn't he?
He really did. And, you know, that comes from dedication, from putting in the work behind the scenes.
It shows.
To be able to perform at that level in that moment, it takes someone special.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned earlier those 2 early wickets for the Falcons. How much of a setback that was?
Right.
Can you kind of walk us through how a moment like that can impact the rest of the team's innings?
Oh, totally. Imagine this. You're that young batsman, right?
Okay.
Haven't even faced a ball yet, and your team's already 2 wickets down.
Oh, man. Yeah.
The pressure is immense.
Intense.
You know, one mistake, one bad shot could be it for you. It makes you second guess everything.
Yeah, instead of just playing your game, you're overthinking it, try not to mess up.
Exactly. And that hesitation, that lack of confidence, it can spread like wildfire through the whole team.
Oh, interesting.
Suddenly you're on the back foot trying to rebuild instead of setting the pace.
Which plays right into the Blasters' hands.
Exactly.
They brought that pressure early and just never let up.
That's how you win championships right there. Seizing those opportunities, capitalizing on your opponent's mistakes.
And at the end of the day, that's exactly what the Austin Blasters did in this final.
They earned that victory, no doubt about it.
They showed their skills, their ability to handle the pressure.
And let's not forget about teamwork. From the bowlers who kept those runs down to those batsmen who built those partnerships and set that target, it was a team effort through and through.
It really drives home how important those partnerships are in cricket. I mean, we talked about Bafla and Burapati's awesome batting, but even with the bowling, you know, keeping that pressure up, consistent lines and lengths, that's a partnership too, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a team effort, no doubt. Cricket might be individually scored, but it's those partnerships that win you matches, championships even.
Right. And this match just shows that, I mean, the Blasters, they were firing on all cylinders, supporting each other every step of the way. And, you know, something else that really stands out to me is the impact those key players had.
Oh, yeah.
Bafla, obviously, he totally changed the game. But even Tessie Singh coming in for those 2 overs, impactful.
Right.
It makes you realize how much one player can shift that momentum.
It's true. And, you know, it's easy to just focus on those big scores, the wickets. But those smaller moments, the control, those can be just as important to getting that win in the end.
It's those subtle things, those things you don't always see on the scorecard, but they tell the real story of how the team got that W.
Exactly.
And speaking of things we don't always see on the scorecard, let's talk about those extras one last time.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Both teams had a ton of them. What do you think was up with that? Just nerves. Championship pressure.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it was strategic, messing with the bowler's rhythm, getting a few extra runs, but let's be real, it was a championship final.
Exactly.
High stakes. These are U11 players. Even seasoned pros get nervous in those big games.
Absolutely. There's a different energy, for sure.
A whole different ballgame.
So those extras, yeah, they might look like mistakes on the scorecard, but they also tell you about the mental side of the game. The pressure, the adrenaline of playing at that level.
It's a whole other layer to the game.
And it just reminds us that there's always more to the game than just what you see in the numbers.
Couldn't agree more.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the AMLCA Elite Junior Championship Final, remember this. Behind every stat, every run, every wicket, there's a human story. Next time you are watching a match, try looking past just the score. Think about what those players are feeling, what's going through their heads, especially in those big moments. Sometimes the most interesting stories, they aren't the ones on the scoreboard.